This is going to be more of a podcast style video talking about the power triangle and things that you can do to essentially use the power triangle to your advantage in most things. Now, I use macros personally. I use voice attack. I made a video on it. So I'll link that in the description, and if I can figure out how to do the cards, I'll also link it in the cards in the top right hand corner of the screen. But I've done quite a bit more testing with the power triangle and know significantly more about it and kind of potentially where you would want to keep your power. Now, the first thing to say is if you just keep your power right in the middle where it first starts you and you don't feel like messing with it, or maybe you're working on other things of your flight and you just don't feel like you can effectively use your power while you're working on improving your flight in other ways, there's a few tips I can give you to just automatically improve your flying. So, the more power that you have in shields, the harder it is to take down your shields. So if you are cargo running, going out to mine in Iraq, doing anything like that where you're not shooting guns, having any power in guns is pointless, and having that power in shields is going to be significantly more beneficial to you if you're in any capacity where you don't want to fight and you're going to be running away. So, immediately take your power out of weapons and put it into shields. And the boost, on the other hand, you really only need to have power in boost if you are trying to recharge your boost. And where you want to keep your boost above the red line so that you can boost anytime that you want to in case you need to get away from a fight or what have you, do something like that. So I would recommend, if you have 100% boost and you're out trading, cargo running, mining, whatever, you don't need any power and guns, I would recommend keeping 100% of your power in shields. You'll be significantly harder to take down if you do that. And that one simple strategy of just putting 100% power in shields, making sure you have enough boost, will help you survive if you come in contact with other players, pirates, like whatever. Now, if you're doing combat and you don't want to mess with shields or mess with your power triangle while doing combat, you don't get any extra damage from having power and weapons, but you do get extra shields for having power and shields. So you could just throw 50% power to weapons, 50% power to shields, and your recharge rate on your guns will be plenty good, and you'll have a bump up in shields just from not having power in your thrust, which you don't need unless your thrust is dropping kind of low. Then you can kind of disengage, recharge your thrust, and then go back into the fight with that. And even from my testing, like I used Gladius in my testing, and the bump up you get from 33% to 50% on recharge rate isn't significant. So you could kind of mess around with having even more power in shields. You could have 67% power in shields and 33% in guns. It all depends on how it feels when you're fighting. Like if you do it that way and it feels like you don't have like you're sitting there without your guns recharged half the time, then you might want to jump up to 50%. But you could kind of mess around and play with that and just get it to where you're significantly more survivable in a dogfight. So my tip would be to be able to run, if you don't want to mess with your power at all in a fight and you just want to be better at it, to run as much power in shields as you can and still comfortably be able to shoot your guns, you know, within reason. That's something you could decide for yourself. I would say the 33% in guns might be an option if you're having a little bit harder time staying on target. But if you're pretty decent at staying on target, you probably want to be at least 50% guns, because you do get a significant recharge bump on your guns for going from 33 to 50%. But that's up to you, how you fly, what feels comfortable. If you're having a harder time staying on target, though, I definitely recommend probably doing the 67% in shields, because that's going to give you a lot more survivability. And if you're having a hard time staying on target, that 33%, that little drop off on recharge rate's probably not going to affect you that much. But anyway, if you do want to mess around with your power, anytime you're taking damage, you want max power and shield. So if you're going at an enemy and like you're both shooting at each other, you probably want 100% power in shields, because you're not gaining really much from having extra power in your guns, because it doesn't make you shoot faster or anything. The only DPS bump that you will get is from having a little bit higher capacitor rate. So if you're able just to stay on target and not take hits, like you're fighting a hammerhead or whatever, and you can just stay on that target the whole time and not get hit, then you probably want to put 100% in guns, so you have that faster recharge rate and the higher capacitor. But otherwise, the only benefit from, if you're shooting at a target, you get from having more power in weapons is just the higher amount of capacitor. So keep that in mind. If you're both shooting at each other, you probably want to dump all your power into shields so that you're a little bit more tanky. And then when the target no longer is aiming at you, you want to put power in guns to recharge them. And if you have a line on a target where they can't shoot you and you can shoot them, you can put 100% in guns and get the benefit of that faster recharge rate. But since you don't shoot fast or not able to put out any more DPS, if you're both shooting at each other, there's no point really in having power in guns except for recharge rate. And then with the boost, you do get to boost longer if you have more power in boosts, but your boost times are so long anyway, it doesn't really matter. If you're running low on boost, I would suggest dipping out of the fight for a little bit to recharge your boost to where you can't get hit, and maybe setting up a macro so you have a little bit in shield, so you're getting some recharge on your shields when you're dipped out of the fight, and you can recharge your boost at the same time. But yeah, so I would say having a bunch of options with macros, and in the game they also have it to where you can just bump it straight to 100. Doing that and utilizing it in the fight will improve your survivability, having your weapons recharged, but this will all take time and practice, obviously. But I would say if you're not getting shot, put power in weapons to recharge them. If you are getting shot, have max power in shields if you can. If your boost is running low, disengage and recharge your boost and shields at the same time when you do that. And in between fights, make sure you top off your boost and top off your shields as well. And yeah, I guess the main thing is when you are getting shot, you want to have as much power in shields as you can. So that's just some quick tips and tricks to help you better utilize the power triangle in the game. Thank you all for watching. If you have anything else you like to consider when using your power triangle, let me know down in the comments below.